one of the components of SAR's mission is non-discrimination on the basis of immigration status. We stand by that in the intersection of race, class, immigration status, in terms of how those are used to oppress people. And in pretty much every state around the South, there are bills right now sitting in state houses attacking immigrants. It's true in Georgia. There are 2 bills in Georgia, and I heard recently that there was a bill in North Carolina. So I'm calling out people who know about that to use your voice, because right now we don't have anyone else on the speakers list.
In Raleigh, North Carolina, a Hispanic organization sponsored a rally and protest, and maybe 60 or 70 people were there, probably 90% Hispanic, in response to a proposed bill that will soon be introduced into the State House in Raleigh that would prohibit illegal immigrants from attending any college in North Carolina. The current law is such that children of illegal immigrants in our state, with regard to community colleges, can attend only if they do not displace a native-born American citizen. Additionally, they have to pay out-of-state tuition, which is 5 to 6 times what it is for in-state people. So at this rally, it was as moving a small rally as I probably have attended, because the stakeholders, high school students spoke, and 16 and 17-year-old kids, stepping up for the first time in their lives, as I talked with some of them before, scared, but they were compelled to speak up. It was their education, it was their future, it was the values of their family that were at stake now. And so I want to bring everybody's attention to that. The bill is being sponsored by Tom Tillis, who is the new majority speaker in the House of Representatives in North Carolina, a Republican, and 5 or 6 other Republican legislators, several of whom rode in on the wave of the Tea Party momentum. So,
do you know the number?
What?
Do you know the House bill number?
I think it's HB 11. But anyway, what he mentioned a minute ago about institutional racism, that's it. When you make it into law, when the judicial institution, that system in the state, prevents it, that's institutional racism. Those kids can't go to school, and of course the whole raft of problems will ensue because of that institutionalized discrimination against those kids. So I can glad to give you the name of that Hispanic organization if you want to get involved. It's and several older gentlemen at the end said, it's so important that you're here as a white man, because that makes a big statement. That it's not just Hispanics playing identity politics, but as everyone has said, racism is everybody's problem. Everybody needs to get involved. So thank you.
The scheme of things, we as college students, and I see a lot of college students in here, young people, it's our generation. This is our fight, our civil rights fight. I'm convinced. And so I just really want to encourage everyone to do something around organizing and getting the conversation back started for the DREAM Act, because it's not that these undocumented students live in undocumented families. No. Their parents probably are documented. I know people whose parents have documentation, but their children do not, because their children aged out before their application was approved. So then you have parents who came here illegally and broke the law, who have documentation, but their children don't, and at this current state have no path to citizenship. And I think that that's just not right. So I really encourage all the students to go back to your schools and just try to do some kind of education, grassroots organizing around the DREAM Act.
Thank you, Melanie. Well, my comrade and friend Nick Wood is the next speaker, and I just want to thank Nick and Melanie, because they're with the National Lawyers Guild, and so they've been our legal observers throughout. They were with us this morning in the park at the rally, and they're here with us today. So let's welcome Nick Wood and his comments with the National Lawyers Guild.
I'm glad to be here with you all. I'm glad that we can take off our hats, so to speak, and participate a bit in the conversation because we're here in an organization, certainly the National Lawyers Guild was founded way back in the day when there was no integrated American Bar Association. The Guild was founded to fill that vacuum. And Guild lawyers throughout the decades since have played key roles in anti-racist struggles and civil rights struggles and very important political struggles, including FBI repression and all sorts of issues that we're involved with. But I want to talk a little bit, being here in the South, and talking about race, to the centrality of race and economic relationships among people and how that affects us. My background is in the union movement, and two of the things that have made it more difficult for us to organize are, well, the biggest thing is race, because traditionally the poor white people were brought along saying, well, you're better than they are. And these jobs are for you, and you've got something, and you're special because you're white. And the union movement coming here often played along with this. And they would exclude black members from their unions. This is the only time it's okay to break a strike, is if you're not allowed in the union. And this division among people has continued to plague us to this day, and it continues throughout the 60s and 70s in the black liberation struggles, and it continues today among Latino immigrants who come here, because the key is by dividing people by their race and turning them against each other and saying, well, your skin differences are more important than the economic reality of this, prevents real change from taking place. Because I know, working with undocumented populations in the workplace and beyond, it says, well, they're taking our jobs, things are getting worse. And this same thing has been happening throughout history, but the reality is that if we took away this false border and this false division between people who have a lot more in common, we would be able to work together to bring that floor up instead of having us being divided, tear it apart. So we have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of people who are misinformed about why things are the way they are, and I think us coming together to say that racism needs to be fought tooth and nail is going to be what's necessary to help break down these borders and do what we need to do to build the lives that we have. So thank you all for being here. We're glad to support it, and let's continue this struggle on.
Thank you, Nick. So, Lenny, your 3 minutes to close us out.
Well, that's a tougher job than I signed up for. Hey, everybody, today I wanted to add one piece to the question of the undocumented workers and the question of citizenship and so forth. There has been in the Republican National Party's platform since 1996 to get rid of birthright citizenship for people who are born in the United States but are the children of undocumented immigrants. Now, the 14th Amendment guarantees that all of us who are born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. That is, your parents could have escaped Poland and the concentration camps and come through Canada and landed here illegally, but if you were born here, you were a citizen. And if you got off your grandparents came off the slave ship and you were born in 1868, you were a citizen. If you were born in 1838, you were a citizen. And all of us, you came across the border today, and there is sitting in Congress now bills to get rid of birthright citizenship. In the last Congress, they had 91 co-sponsors to H.R. 1968, and they are going to put it back on this time, and Representative King out of Iowa says they will pass out of the House a bill this session because they have a Republican majority, to end birthright citizenship. So in terms of the DREAM Act, that's moving something forward. They're coming at us to take it away. That has to be defeated. That has to be understood as an attack on everybody's equal rights before the law, which is the underpinnings of American citizenship. It's an attempt to bring us back to Jim Crow, and if there's a call to action at the end of this, it's to fight that fight as well. And I want to thank you all. I appreciated being here with you. I flew in from Kansas City, and I was glad to participate. Thank you very much.